Good evening, everyone. The meeting of Lakewood City Council for November 6, 2023 is hereby called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now pause for a moment of silence. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Baker?
Here.
Bullock?
Here.
Keppel? Here. Litton?
Here.
Marks? Here. Rader?
Yep.
Shackner?
Here.
Reading and disposal of the minutes of the regular meeting of council held October 16, 2023.
Move to dispose without the necessity of a reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. And with that, I'd like to move item 28 up to the top of our agenda, just given that we have some firefighter paramedics who are here present for this item and are on duty, and we'd like them to get the heck out of here from more important things. Chief Dunphy.
Item 28,
Oh, I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, and then Chief Dunphy.
communication from Chief Dunphy regarding the neighborhood paramedic program.
Dear members of council, the neighborhood paramedic program with the funding from Healthy Lakewood Foundation has hired DataShine to look at our pilot year of data. With this look back, we have examined the work we have done, and we will use it to determine the direction we will take the program to provide the best service to the citizens of Lakewood. Lakewood Fire, Healthy Lakewood Foundation, and DataShine would like the opportunity to present this information to City Council so they can be aware of the program and what it has to offer for your constituents. Please refer this to the Committee of the Whole for further discussion and presentation.
Thank you. Quick question, Chief. Is this something you'd like finalized or discussed before the end of the year, and or what was the timeline, if any, for discussion? I asked that out of respect for our rather busy council committee schedule over the next month and a half or so.
Well, with my recent track record of going on first reading, I think I'm going to ask to go regular routine. We're going to ask to go to the committee. There's no urgency with that. Both organizations would like to come and have an open discussion with the entire council if possible.
Understood. Well, with that and with appreciation, I'd move to refer this to Committee of the Whole.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All right. Chief, did you want to call anybody up, or are we
No,
good?
I mean, I did ask a few of the paramedics.
Out of respect for their presence.
Neighborhood paramedic is here, and they're all going to attend the committee meeting, so
Okay.
we can have a lengthy discussion on the program.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. On the motion to refer, colleagues, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. And with that, item 1.
Item 1, report from Housing Planning and Development Committee regarding meeting held October 23, 2023.
Chairman Bullock.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dear members of council, dear colleagues, the Housing Planning and Development Committee met October 23 to discuss Ordinance 20-2023 regarding a proposal to market for sale 6 city-owned properties, including 1 vacant lot on West Lake and 5 properties adjacent to the former hospital site. Most of the discussion concerned the 5 hospital-adjacent properties on Bell and St. Charles, which included 3 occupied rental properties, 1 vacant lot, and 1 vacant property under renovation. Planning Director Leininger explained the administration's goal to develop 3 out of the 5 as affordable housing at or below 150% area median income, or AMI. The administration believes, and the committee ultimately concurred, that a slightly higher AMI requirement is necessary to identify a homeowner that can afford the property taxes and maintenance on these sizable Century homes. Adoption of 20-2023 constitutes final approval for the administration to move forward with these sales. I should say would constitute a final approval. Following the adoption of the ordinance, the city will work with a realtor, or intends to work with a realtor, to develop advertisements, and a process for soliciting offers from the public. The city is not required to accept the highest offer, but the overall best offer that aligns with the city's overall vision. To ensure that council receives timely updates on the status of these properties, the committee moved to amend Ordinance 20-2023 to require timely updates from the administration, and subsequently moved to recommend adoption of the amended version of Ordinance 20-2023. Sincerely, I move to receive and file that communication.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I just want to acknowledge that the council staff collectively did a very nice job of preparing that report, and I appreciate the diligence and the detail because it's helpful to the record. The specificity is very high quality. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion to receive and file, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 2, substitute ordinance 20-2023, an ordinance to take effect immediately authorizing and directing the Director of Planning and Development or Mayor to enter into an agreement with a licensed real estate broker to market for sale various real properties pursuant to Section 15507 of the codified ordinances.
Move to substitute.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Baker?
Yes.
Bullock?
Yes.
Keppel?
Yes.
Litton?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Rader?
Yes.
Shackner?
Yes.
And that motion passes. Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Bullock.
just want to commend, I thought it was a very thoughtful discussion that the administration led, Mayor George and Director Leininger. We delved rather deeply into the facets of this issue in an attempt to deepen the committee and the council's understanding of affordable housing tools that we may have available to us, or the relative narrowness of the tools available to us. And I just thought it was a job very well done, good work product results, and I'm happy to support the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Baker?
Yes.
Bullock?
Yes.
Keppel?
Yes.
Litton?
Yes.
Marks? Rader?
Yes.
Shackner?
Yes.
And that motion passes.
Item 3, report from Health and Human Services Committee regarding meeting held October 23rd, 2023.
Chairperson Keppel.
Dear colleagues, the Health and Human Services Committee met October 23rd to review and discuss the interim progress report provided by the Community Health Action Team. CHAT, formerly known as the Community Health Needs Standing Committee, was established in March of 2023 with the goal of operationalizing the recommendations of the 2022 Community Health Needs Assessment and the supporting action plan. Kate Ingersoll, Vice Chair of CHAT, gave a presentation to Council that reviewed the progress made by the team and how they plan to address the 54 suggested interventions. Following the presentation was an engaging discussion between Council members and the CHAT members about the value of this work and the next steps. Over the next few months, subcommittees will be formed for each of the 5 focus areas: housing, community information strategy, out-of-school time enrichment, healthy food access, access to physical behavioral health. The subcommittees will begin meeting in January to work on further refining and implementing the interventions. The committee pledged support to help advance the work of CHAT, particularly regarding the interventions that will require legislative action. The annual report will be coming before Council in March of 2024. Move to receive and file that report.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 4, report from Health and Human Services Committee regarding meeting held today, November 6th.
Once again, Chairperson Keppel.
Thank you. At tonight's Health and Human Services Committee, the Councilman Rader and I were joined by several council colleagues, as well as representatives from the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, including Commissioner Roderick Harris, Margaret Case, Brian Athey, Suzanne Rush, and Kevin Brennan. They provided us with their 2022 annual report and gave us an overview of some of the initiatives that are potentially lesser known from the Board of Health, as well as their central vision of equity, accountability, and education. They also gave us a report about the number of inspections happening recently in Lakewood. In this past year, of 287 facilities per year are inspected for food, with 390 inspections having happened thus far this year, with an average of 600 and 650 inspections. 34 licensed swimming pools with 103 inspections, 18 schools, and the schools with both the food and school space, animal bite investigations, and the regular sampling of Clifton Beach, the water at Clifton Beach, twice a week during the summer season. They also spoke about dedication to equity, diversity, inclusion, and potential connections with our own anti-racism plan, as well as climate action plan with the AmeriCorps program, now CORE. The committee voted to recommend ordinance, which is not on the docket. The ordinance to renew the Cuyahoga County, the contract with the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. And I'll move to receive and file that oral report.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 5, Resolution 2023-44, a resolution to take effect immediately authorizing the mayor to enter into a 2-year agreement commencing January 1st, 2024 with the District Advisory Council of Cuyahoga County, Ohio General Health District for the provision of public health services within the city of Lakewood, an amount not to exceed $369,330 for calendar year 2024 and $407,536 for calendar year 2025.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 6, report from the Finance Committee regarding meeting held October 30th, 2023.
Chairman Schachner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dear colleagues, the Finance Committee met October 30th, 2023 to discuss proposed resolution 2023-49 to authorize the Division of Fire to order an ambulance in the amount of $386,710 for delivery in 2026 and a boat in the amount of $363,774 for delivery in 2024. Fire Chief Dunphy and others from the Lakewood Fire Department addressed questions from the committee regarding the necessity of the equipment and the timeline of internal discussions related to the equipment. Fire Chief Dunphy and Finance Director Rankator explained the market forces and supply chain issues that have caused the prices of these vehicles to gradually increase. They emphasized that these vehicles are a necessity and that the city will likely save money by ordering them now instead of later. Finance Director Rankator assured the committee that these purchases are part of the capital budget. Additionally, the Administrator confirmed that not passing on first reading did not and will not have an impact on the Lakewood Fire Department's ability to obtain the requested vehicles on their previously proposed timeline at their previously negotiated price. Law Director Vargo presented a substitute version of Resolution 2023-49 with updated pricing and authorization to order accessory equipment, neither of which would have been included if the resolution was adopted on first reading. Finance Committee recommended Resolution 2023-49 as substituted for adoption by full council. Move to receive and file.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Chairman Schachner or any director from the city or the mayor who remind me the nature of the substitution?
Thank you, Council President, members of council. The substitution was technical in nature. Put a word for expected delivery because we cannot guarantee delivery even next year or 2026. There was updated pricing. There was a reference to accessory equipment for the ambulance. We identified it as accessory and increased the price to account for it.
Understood. Thank you very much for that explanation.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilman Rader.
Thank you. I just want to note my thanks to the fire chief and the mayor administration for, this is something that I had 2 major asks for next year's budget. This is one of them, so I think a record turnaround time. Obviously, this wasn't my doing, and this has been in the works for a very long time, particularly for the the boat. And I just want to reiterate, and I was not at the committee meeting, so I'll say this again now, what an incredible asset and resource having that watercraft is. Pulls folks out of the water every single year. You know that. I'm preaching to the choir. And we have more and more folks using our waterfront, and having that life-saving capacity, and with the age of that boat getting to a point where it was becoming a concern, this couldn't come at a better time. So again, just want to tip the hat. Thank you, administration, for moving this forward, and I'm happy to be in support of it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will move to, oh wait, we're still on the communication. My apologies. On the motion to receive and file, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 7, Resolution 2023-49, a resolution to take effect immediately approving the ordering of an ambulance for delivery in 2026 and a boat for the Division of Fire for delivery in 2024, and committing to including the purchase of those items in the respective budgets.
Move to substitute.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Small point of order. It appears on the docket, it was already, we're voting on substituted resolution 2023-49.
Meaning it was moved out of committee, substituted already.
Correct.
And is not necessary to be substituted.
Correct, Mr. President.
All right. I appreciate that.
Nope.
I will amend my motion then to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 8, report from Committee of the Whole held October 30th, 2023.
Thank you, dear colleagues. Committee of the Whole met October 30th to discuss two items. The first was Resolution 2023-52 to approve a legal settlement in the amount of $400,000 with an engineering contractor of the city. Council did enter into executive session to further discuss that item, and upon exiting executive session, recommended adoption of that resolution. Following that, Council discussed the staffing at the animal shelter, a topic brought forth by Councilmember Marks and the Lakewood Animal Safety and Welfare Advisory Board, or LASWAB. In response to LASWAB's recommendation that the city hire a new full-time shelter operations manager, the administration delivered a presentation which included information on the current staffing structure at the shelter, the duties of the current staff, data on the number of animals at the shelter, and other relevant material. The administration and the existing animal shelter supervisor were clear in their position that the duties and the responsibilities at the shelter are being adequately met with the current staffing structure. Council members asked the administration to remain open-minded to adding staff in the future as part of efforts to enhance services and continuously improve. Move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Sharing in Councilman Bullock's thanks to the council office for helping put together this report. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Number 9, Resolution 2023-52, a resolution to take effect immediately authorizing the mayor or director of law to enter into an agreement with an engineering contractor of the city to accept the amount of $400,000 for the full and final settlement of all claims under the contractor's agreement.
Thank you. We have one individual signed in for public comment on this item, and that person is Barbara Rhodes. And please state your name and address for the record, even though I just said your name, I realize.
My name's Barbara Rhodes, and I live at 1475 Grace Avenue. I was present when the council had executive session when this was on the agenda before, and I was very curious about the anonymity, but I thought that might have to do with the negotiation and compromise process. But clearly, that's been completed since the city's announced the amount of money it's willing to accept to settle whatever claim this is. But so I'm here just to ask for you to satisfy my curiosity. The resolution leaves the identity of the engineering company anonymous, and it doesn't reveal the nature of the city's claim against the engineering company that's resulted in this $400,000 settlement. Is there a public record of the claim that identifies the nature of the city's claim against the engineering company and that identifies the engineering company? If so, I'd like to know where those records are located. I'd like to know if there'll be a public record of the engineering company's payment to the city that reveals the identity of the engineering company. And if there's not currently a public record of the city's claim or of the identity of the engineering company, what is the legal rationale for these essential elements of the resolution to be kept secret?
Thank you. And to note, all public comments are directed towards the chair. It's not a Q&A session. I will say first that we always take the need to go into executive session very seriously. It's not something we do lightly, and it's only in matters where there is clear legal need to do so. As far as commenting on specifics, I look to our law director first to offer what he may want to offer on the topic. I don't necessarily want to get into specifics myself.
Just to clarify, I'm not questioning the council or the committee going into executive session to discuss a pending legal issue. My question is about the resolution that's on the agenda for passage today that leaves the claim and the engineering company anonymous, if that helps clarify my question.
It does. Thank you. Director Vargo.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Any public record requests would identify the identity of the contractor with whom this settlement is with. That in of itself is not necessary for confidentiality. At this time, I don't know if there is a public record of the actual claim or if it was the subject of oral negotiation. But if there's a public record on the nature of the claim, that too would obviously be produced, but I don't know if it exists.
Just to be clear, it's possible that this claim has never been recorded and never will be recorded? And for the public to be able to review it?
I think the best way, ma'am, to answer that question is to have you submit the public records request, and we will analyze it and produce the documents that exist.
So to your knowledge, at this point, there is no public record identifying the claim that's the subject of the resolution on the agenda tonight?
If I may, since the questions
sorry,
run through the
I-
chair, and that's
forgive
okay.
me, I'm sorry.
I think in matters like these, we do want to get into a conversation and a back and forth, and I think you're finding as much openness as we're able to provide on the fly. The public records request helps us as a city to process what we can and cannot say thoughtfully, and then to deliver the information that we can. And it sounds like there is some information that we can deliver. It's just we need to assess what we can and cannot offer. Given the nature of your question happening in the moment, I'm not sure we can answer it fully or thoroughly or well, given all the circumstances. I hope that makes sense.
It does, but the Public Records Act only authorizes access to records that exist. It does not require a holder of public records to create, or an entity that's subject to the Public Records Act, to create a record in order to respond to a public records request. However, I don't know whether or not any sort of record that would be public exists. So my remaining question would be, to whom would such a public
Sure,
records
and my
request be
understanding of the
directed?
whole situation would be that this could not happen fully without some ink and paper being involved at some stage that would be able to be provided to any person requesting public records.
Okay, and that should be directed, is there a?
There's actually a portal on our website
Okay.
to do that very thing.
Great, thank
It's
you
very
very
easy to
much.
use. Mhm. Thank you. And with that, I don't know if we have any motions on the floor. I don't think we do, so I will move to adopt. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to adopt, say aye. 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 Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 10, report from Committee of the Whole held today, November 6, 2023.
Thank you. Yes. What did we do? When did we meet? I'm aware of what happened. I just need to gather my thoughts. Committee of the Whole met this evening, which is, I don't even know what date it is, November 6th, to discuss solely the Lakewood ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. The city did have our consultant on the matter, Steve Metzer, assist in guiding, going through that plan, as well as members of the task force, as well as Director Leininger and members of the administration also providing input. I thought that it was thoroughly presented in terms of high, medium, and low priorities and things we ought to consider, both not necessarily at an itemized level, but certainly on a financial level, for us to be able to understand kind of what the $30+ million nut to crack here is for us to be able to proceed and make our city as accessible as we possibly can by virtue of following the plan set forth. Move to receive and file that oral report.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Phew.
Item 11, Resolution 2023-51, a resolution to take effect immediately adopting the City of Lakewood ADA Self-Evaluation Transition Plan.
Yes, and I failed to mention that the committee did recommend adoption of this resolution. But in the interest of having members of the task force present to be able to, I think, celebrate the plan's implementation, I'm going to move to defer.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Very thankful for a thorough discussion, and I hope that everybody who was involved in the process feels like they've had their say and we're able to proceed. Anything further? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 12, Ordinance 21, 2023, an ordinance to take effect immediately to approve the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as parts of the various component codes of the codified ordinances and to provide for the publication of such new matter.
Move to suspend our rules and adopt on second reading.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Baker? Yes. Bullock?
Yes.
Keppel?
Yes.
Litton?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Rader?
Yes.
Shackner?
Yes.
And that motion passes. Move to adopt. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Baker?
Yes.
Bullock?
Yes.
Keppel?
Yes.
Litton?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Rader?
Yes.
Shackner?
Yes.
And that motion passes.
Item 13, announcement from President Litton regarding individual council appointments to Lakewood Animal Safety and Welfare Advisory Board.
Yes, I won't read the full communication, but want to note some appointments or reappointments by members of council, all done in one communication so we can keep things efficient, of course, but appreciative of all of these individuals' willingness to serve. Move to receive and file.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 14, communication from President Litton regarding upcoming council, board, and commission vacancies.
Yes, again, I won't read the communication verbatim, but I want to note numerous vacancies that we have on some of our task forces, commissions, boards, et cetera, and that we ought to work together to fill these positions over the course of the next few weeks. And if anybody out there is interested in serving on a task force, a board, or a commission of the City of Lakewood, please let our council office know. Move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 15, Resolution 2023-55, a resolution to take effect immediately, appointing Sam Pearson, Jessica Cotton, and one person to the Anti-Racism Task Force for 2-year terms beginning January 1st, 2024.
Given that we still have a blank here and the term begins January 1st, I will move to defer.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? I'll just note that rather than assigning to a committee, I wouldn't mind us being able to, on the floor of council, as these matters come up again, to be able to discuss potential applicants to fill in that blank.
Mr. Chair, Mr. President.
Councilman Bullock.
If it seemed serviceable and timely and helpful, would you, as the chair committee of the whole, reserve the option to schedule a committee of the whole discussion where council may, the committee of the whole rather, could have the chance to evaluate candidates. Even if these resolutions are not in committee of the whole, we could at least reserve the option to proceed that way. I've found that to be helpful sometimes. I also appreciate the approach you're taking here, which is a lot of times we can be expeditious and just do it on the floor, so, you know.
Sure, and I'm acknowledging we don't have a glut of applicants for some of our openings and things like that, so should we get worthy candidates to come forward and discuss them on the floor thoroughly, but discussed on the floor nonetheless, I'd be open to doing that. There's always time to schedule committees if we absolutely have to, of course, but felt like this was a prudent way to proceed for now, anyway. Thank you. On the motion to defer, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 16, Resolution 2023-56, a resolution to take effect immediately reappointing Michael Bentley and Will Costello to the Audit Committee for 2-year terms beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2025.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Just thankful to both Mr. Bentley and Mr. Costello for being willing to serve once again on this committee. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Baker.
Just like to remind everyone that they're both Lakewood High grads and excellent ones, so thank you.
Never doubted it for a second. Wonderful discussion. Anything further? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 17, Resolution 2023-57, a resolution to take effect immediately appointing one person to the Planning Commission for the 5-year term beginning January 1st, 2024.
Move to defer.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes.
Item 18, Resolution 2023-58, a resolution to take effect immediately appointing Dave Robar to the Public Art Advisory Board for the 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2024.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? And does anyone know Dave Robar's high school graduation? Okay. All right. That's right. All right. Very good. Hearing nothing further, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 19, Resolution 2023-59, a resolution to take effect immediately appointing one person to the Tree Advisory and Education Board for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2024.
I'd like to move to enter the name Matt Bixenstein into Resolution 2023-59.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Bullock?
happy to support the motion. I know Matt is a very committed Ward 4 resident, although I should defer to the councilwoman across the dais here. But I know he's been involved in Madison Park planning and Lakewood Alive prior to that, and I think I'm missing several other community engagement efforts. So I think he's very well positioned to be a thoughtful and diligent member of the committee. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Marks?
Thank you. Thanks, Councilwoman Keppel. He would be a great addition to the tree task force. He's very passionate about Lakewood, the parks, and trees overall, so good selection. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Nothing, just to add that Matt is awesome, and I really appreciate him serving, and we have a wonderful tree advisory board, so glad to have him on board.
Great. On the motion to insert his name, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 20, Resolution 2023-60, a resolution to take effect immediately appointing 5 members to the Charter Review Commission for a 6-month term beginning January 1st, 2024.
I feel like this ought to be in committee. I think I'll move to refer this to committee of the whole.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? I don't know when we'll schedule it, Maureen. We'll have to figure it out. 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, all right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 21, communication from Councilmember Bullock regarding improvements to the frontage of the former Lakewood Hospital site.
Councilman Bullock. With apologies, Councilmembers Bullock or Marks, who would like to do the talking? Councilmember Marks.
In response to the consistent resident concern regarding both the status of the former Lakewood Hospital site and its appearance and use while the community awaits construction, I submit the following proposed resolution as an initial working draft to begin discussion on how the city may improve the frontage of the site on Detroit Avenue and perhaps elsewhere. Despite diligent efforts by many to date, and although the city is in active discussions with a prospective development partner, we still have no date for commencement of construction, much less for the ribbon cutting and opening of a new facility on the site of the former Lakewood Hospital. As a city-owned parcel, it is our responsibility to maintain, care for, and beautify it. After 4 years, it is time to provide certainty to Lakewood residents, downtown merchants, and neighboring property owners that the boundaries of the site will receive care, beautification, and perhaps new usable facilities. Features contemplated in the proposal include elements such as improved signage, landscaping, including movable elements such as planters, public art that is temporary in nature or that can be relocated, and park benches, refuse bins, and similar streetscape improvements that can be removed and replaced during construction or relocated for reuse elsewhere. Features not contemplated as part of this proposal and that should be excluded are access to the site itself, which is a construction zone not safe for the public, or to the Curtis Block building. Permanent streetscape features that cannot be relocated and reused. Landscaping elements beyond a certain threshold of cost or that require years to establish, such as street trees and other elements that are too costly. I look forward to meeting the public's appropriate expectations that the city take timely action to care for and beautify the largest undeveloped parcel in our community, the impact of which is magnified given that it lies in the heart of our downtown. I request a referral to the Committee of Council's choosing for further deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 22, Resolution 2023-61, a resolution to take effect immediately to provide certainty to Lakewood residents on improving the frontage of the former Lakewood Hospital site.
I open it up to my colleagues to refer to a committee of their preference. I don't really have one necessarily.
Public Works. I didn't hear what Councilman Bullock said.
Move to refer to committee of the whole.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? We're going to have a 4:30 meeting now. Absolutely. And before we vote, my apologies, we do have one person signed up for public comment, and that is Cindy Strebig.
Cindy Strebig, 2066 Baxterly Avenue, North Ridgeville High School. Thank you, City Council President, council members, Mayor George, and members of the administration. I'm here today to speak in support of beautification of the former Lakewood Hospital site. While canvassing this summer and fall, many residents expressed their concerns and questions surrounding this topic. Most were just curious to know what was going on and why they haven't seen any progress. My explanations about the difficulties by the developer to secure funding and suggestions that we should hear something about the development on the south side of the site appeased some of the patient residents, but not all. As you can imagine, and without any regular announcements, people have developed their own solutions. Take down the fence and open it up for a parking lot, a skating pond, a sledding hill, a dog park, and on and on and on, were some of the suggestions. I explained repeatedly that this was a construction site and not a recreation area, and it could be dangerous for our children and pets. Without any signs for improvement, it's natural for our neighbors to problem solve, jump to conclusions, and fuel the rumor mills. Before moving ahead with plans for improvement, we must include and actively seek the opinions and comments specifically from our neighbors on Marlowe and Bell Avenues, who have front row seats to any changes on this site. Perhaps a public meeting to explain updates and plans for this project would be helpful as we all patiently wait for construction to begin. I believe efforts to brighten this site with temporary student art, educational signage, or natural plantings would go a long way towards supporting improving the mood about this project. But we should hear this from our neighbors that live there and not base decisions on our own preferences and potentially make a bad situation worse. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. We have a motion to refer this to Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President,
Any further discussion? Yes.
I thought the resident of Ward 3, who is also, I might note, a candidate for Ward 3 City Council, and by my last reckoning, unopposed. So, best wishes to you tomorrow, neighbor Streebig, on the election. It may turn out that we're colleagues soon enough. I thought the comments that you made were very thoughtful and, grounded in a lot of community conversations and well-spoken, and I certainly support them. The thought here I would encourage us to do is think of bifurcating site management from the development negotiation process, which we've been pursuing diligently. There are macroeconomic reasons, including the Federal Reserve increasing the interest rates and other financial industry headwinds. And so we continue to pursue a good development partner and a plan with the development partner. But the way that we manage the site is, even though it's overlapping, is a distinct issue. And we've really, arguably been letting the developer drive the timeline rather than the city take an initiative and us taking a more proactive responsibility for the neighbor impacts, also on the merchants in the downtown, but especially Marlowe and Bell. That's a shared responsibility. This is not intended to be a finger-pointing exercise, but rather an expression of support that, it's time for us to commit to taking timely action. In my view, that should be next year, 2024, and that's what the proposed resolution says, is the mayor or the mayor's designee is authorized to directed to expend in 2024 up to a certain amount. So that's the opening of a discussion that I think, it belongs to the community, and all of us who hold in trust the community's will. So I hope that we can work together on this. Thanks.
Thank you. And you all may have noted some of the consternation about scheduling and things like that. I just hope that as we go throughout this year, we have an open mind and an acknowledgement that maybe not all of us can be present because of previous schedules and things like that sometimes, just so that we get all the things that are charged to our committees done in a timely fashion. I just hope we can all be amenable to that. At any rate, on the motion to refer, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 23, communication from Director Rankator regarding 2022 Financial Reporting Award.
Director Rankator.
President Litton and members of council, the Auditor of State's Northeast Regional Liaison recently stopped by Lakewood City Hall to present the city with the Ohio Auditor of State's prestigious award with distinction for its financial reporting for the year ended December 31st, 2022. This award is selectively presented to the few government entities that meet the Ohio Auditor of State's stringent financial reporting and record-keeping criteria. It's also noteworthy that the Auditor of State rated Lakewood with its highest transparency rating of 4 stars as part of its review that analyzes how Lakewood responds to public record requests. In receiving this recognition, I'd like to point out that financial accounting and reporting is a team sport that requires effort, determination, and commitment to high standards and adherence to internal control procedures from our administrative staff that I'd like to personally recognize. John Rebar, Eugene Byrne, Dawn Watkins, Patricia Mollers, and Assistant Directors Jessica Eddy and Keith Schuster. Notably, finance can't complete exemplary work without the cooperation of the administrative leadership in this room, so I give special thanks to the directors, chiefs, and the city's divisional leaders for their commitment to financial integrity. I also so appreciate Mayor George's leadership and support in being fully conscious of important facets of governmental finance, including awareness of the city's debt load and maintaining the city's excellent bond rating and internal control structure. Finally, thank you, City Council. Finance recognizes your respect and appreciation of our work and will continue to give our residents our very best efforts to achieve financial excellence and success. Thank you.
Thank you. Move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded, and let me be the first to congratulate the Finance Department Director Ankator, the administration, for all of their hard work in making this honor come to be. Well done. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 24, communication from Director Leininger regarding Cuyahoga County Development Supplemental Grant Program, Madison Park Birdtown Neighborhood Connector Project.
Director Leininger.
Good evening, Council President Litton and members of City Council. The attached resolution authorizes and supports an application for grant funding through the Cuyahoga County Community Development Supplemental Grant. This is a competitive grant program offering grants up to $50,000 to help strengthen cities, encourage regional collaboration, and improve quality of life for county residents. Funding for these grants is provided from county casino tax revenue. The city is requesting $50,000 in grant funding to support an estimated $100,000 project that includes the demolition of the blighted and vacant structures at 2048 Halsted Avenue, grading and reseeding of the property, installation of privacy screening along the side property lines as requested by the adjacent neighbors, installation of landscaping, and construction of a path leading from Halsted Avenue to Madison Park. These improvements will create a direct connection between Madison Park and the Birdtown neighborhood at Thrush Avenue. This connection, through numerous public meetings, has been identified as a priority recommendation in the draft Madison Park Master Plan that is being finalized for adoption will be ultimately submitted to City Council for adoption. Among other items, the grant application requires that City Council adopt a resolution acknowledging the grant is being applied for, and that a notice public meeting for the project for which that application is being submitted has occurred. That meeting occurred October 17th, 2023 at the Madison branch of the Public Library in conjunction with the public meeting for the Madison Park Master Plan. While past resolutions of support for this grant opportunity have been passed on first reading, this resolution is not due until the application is submitted on or before November 28th, 2023. City Council consideration of first reading approval is appreciated. Otherwise, approval at the second reading on November 20th, 2023 is requested. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. First move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 25, Resolution 2023-62, a resolution to take effect immediately authorizing the mayor or director of planning development to apply to the Cuyahoga County Community Development Supplemental Grant Program for a $50,000 grant to be used for the transformation of 2048 Halsted Avenue into a new east entrance of Madison Park through the Madison Park Birdtown Neighborhood Connector Project.
In appreciation of the notion that we could wait on this, I don't see a reason to delay, and so I'll first, before discussion, move to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? I want to make sure, given this motion, that we still get our questions answered, if there are any. Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, or Mr. President, and appreciate this thoughtful approach, and it's great to always create more pathways into parks. Just curious, it looks like we acquired the property in 2020 in the land bank, so have we just kind of been maintaining the structure since we acquired it?
Correct. There was a nuisance issue with the property, so we had some investment into it to correct that nuisance, put a lien on the property, and then ultimately received it through sheriff's sale in 2020, and been sitting vacant well before even 2020.
So, thank you. One more. So the 100 grand pays for basically like demo and then fences and pavement?
Correct. Demolition on this property is quite extensive, or quite expensive, due to the amount of asbestos that's in the plaster throughout the entire home. So we're estimating abatement or just the abatement portion to be probably in the neighborhood of $30,000. So the balance of the funds then, about $50,000 go towards grading, seeding, fencing, landscaping, and at least getting a sidewalk connection from Halsted back to the back edge of the site. From there, we may just allow it to kind of free flow into the back end of the park until future improvements can then connect that sidewalk into other points north and south of that ends up like in the back of the recreation field. So along the back edge of the recreation field.
Right. More parks, good. So I support it.
Any further discussion? Councilman Bullock?
Thanks, Mr. President. Just following on that line of questioning from Councilman Baker. So, Director, this contemplates to be the first of a series of steps to create and then support an additional east entrance to Madison Park. So there would need to be trails or sidewalks and signage and all of that, those elements. So you haven't gotten that far, although the plan may, the forthcoming Madison Master Plan may incorporate some of that.
The Madison Park Master Plan will identify the removal of this structure and the opportunity to provide an east connector direct into Birdtown as an idea, as a concept for the park.
Okay.
Our efforts then to, assuming we receive this grant, we're also chasing some additional funding for this as well through the land bank to help with the demolition. If we receive those funds, we will then undertake engineering work and other items to help identify what those level improvements will be.
So technically, this potential approach is not part of the park. This is preparatory to all the stuff we're talking about at the park. If that somehow changed, we could also use this parcel for development, right? If for some reason, in other words, we're demoing a property is a pretty irrevocable step. So if we had to change course for some unforeseen reason and not use it for park ingress or park access, we could use that that cleared site to redevelop a residential property, for example.
Absolutely, yes. We could. There would be another purpose we could assign to the property.
So is it the opinion of the administration, though, that the only or the best approach to this property is demolition rather than rehab?
Yes,
regardless of what we use it for in the future.
So that's actually where we started with this property when we acquired in 2020. The idea was we were going to invest in it using our home funds and create a single-family structure for affordable housing purposes. Even at that point in time, we were identifying costs for the amount of rehab that go into that house to be in the $350,000 to $450,000 range before we got into inflation and other price increases that we're dealing with.
And the drivers of the asbestos you talked about.
That's one of the key things, but the house is in pretty rough shape.
Okay.
The exterior, it's a brick home. It's a beautiful home, unfortunately. It's the condition that it's in, the cost of rehabilitation exceeds even what we receive in home funds in a single year, which would then impact other programs where we help invest in multifamily units, where we help invest in other properties throughout the city where we would be able to do that just to have this one outcome for one single family home.
Yeah, okay, thanks for the thought involved. And I do note there's, at least in this 3D map aerial, some mature trees at the rear of the property. It would be ideal to be able to preserve those and maybe incorporate those into the margin of the park so that we don't,
Absolutely.
So an entryway would have to be designed accordingly, but it seems like an opportunity.
It is absolutely an
Thanks.
opportunity.
Any further discussion? Vice President Keppel.
Thank you. Director Leiner, I was, when we reviewed the master plan at the Madison Library meeting, I was excited to see this potential corridor. At where it's located, as I recall, it really does create more pathways for the families in Birdtown to get to the park without having to go all the way to Madison or all the way to Athens. So it's exciting to have the opportunity. And I know you mentioned that there was a request from neighboring properties for some privacy work, but are those neighboring properties amenable to that type of work? It seems like those conversations have been had already.
So yes, with having some privacy screening along their property line, yes, they were amenable. Still have concerns, but they were amenable with that screening to keep people separated, the public separated from their side yards and rear yard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Marks.
Thank you. Thanks, Director Leininger. I, too, was at that meeting, and I was happy to see that there was a lot of public interest from the residents of Birdtown. And I agree with you, the residents adjacent to that demolition feel very positive as long as they have some privacy in their properties. So I'm happy to hear that that's going to happen. And I'm very excited to see what's going to be the final product at Madison Park. It's long overdue, and I'm very excited to be a part of that. So thank you very much. Thanks for the public meetings, too. They're great.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion to adopt, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 26, communication from Director Leininger regarding an amendment to purchase agreement for the sale of 12900 Madison Avenue.
Director Leininger.
Good evening again, Council President Linton, members of City Council. On July 7th, 2023, City Council adopted Ordinance 13-2023, authorizing the mayor or Director of Planning and Development to enter into an agreement for the sale of 12900 Madison Avenue to Lakewood Community Services Center. As authorized by the agreement, LCSC completed due diligence inspections of the property. Upon review of the inspection reports, LCSC has requested the purchase price be reduced to account for extensive repairs that were not contemplated as part of the initial offer. The most significant costs include repairs to the basement block wall and drainage system along Madison Avenue, repairs to the exterior brick walls to stop water infiltration and correct stair step cracking, replacement of both AC condensers and furnaces, and replacement of the roof. In recognition of these additional repairs, which total an estimated cost of $116,600, the administration and LCSC have negotiated a revised purchase price of $130,000, a reduction of $70,000 to the originally contemplated $200,000 purchase price. This reduction in price is a substantial change from the agreement adopted by Ordinance 13-2023 and therefore requires amendment and approval by City Council. Note this amendment is the second amendment to the purchase agreement, with the first being an adjustment in dates to account for this revised purchase price negotiation and approval process. The first amendment was not deemed substantial and therefore was approved under the authority granted by the ordinance. LCSC is currently working with Key Bank on a mortgage for this purchase. To prevent potential increased costs to LCSC by way of interest rate increases, to allow LCSC to coordinate with their current landlord as quickly as possible, and to facilitate the transfer of the property by end of the calendar year, the administration and LCSC respectfully request this matter be referred to an appropriate committee and approved at second reading on November 20th, 2023.
Move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 27, Ordinance 13-2023A, an ordinance to take effect immediately authorizing and directing the mayor or director of planning and development to enter into an amendment to the agreement for the sale of 12900 Madison Avenue.
Move to refer to committee of the whole.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded, and I'll kick off discussion by simply stating that in conversations with our clerk, we're working on something even next week, just to make sure that we get the proper discussion in on this item. Again, noting that some members of council may not be able to be present, but that a majority of us will, in theory anyway. On the motion to refer to committee of the whole, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 29, liquor permit notice regarding BMCW Club LLC at 13741 Madison Avenue.
Being that this permit notice resides in Ward 3, I'll move to file without objection.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 30, liquor permit notice regarding Zambonis of Lakewood LLC at 14740 Lakewood Heights Boulevard.
One of our more exciting LLC names, anyway, at least from a hockey fan's perspective. This Winterhurst it resides in Ward 2, so I'll defer to Councilman Schachtner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll move to file without objection.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 31, liquor permit notice regarding Box 54 LLC at 15729 Madison.
Once again, Ward 2, I do believe. Councilman Schachtner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to file without objection.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. We now move to a public comment portion of our meeting. If there are any individuals signed in for public comment. None? Okay. Then we'll move to any announcements from my colleagues or the administration. I will start by first acknowledging that in the back of, right behind Chief Story, actually, is a relatively new AED here in the council chambers. Just want to acknowledge that we have that here, thankfully, for hopefully no one to need, but it's there just in case we do. Chief Dunphy. Also want to note the importance of everyone voting tomorrow. We have local elections here in Lakewood, but also, throughout our communities, and it's important for people to exercise their right to vote. And thirdly, from my end, I want to wish Mayor George a belated happy birthday as well. You're welcome. Anything else, colleagues? Director Leininger.
Council President, members of City Council, not to be outdone by the Finance Department receiving awards, we also received a major award. The Ohio EPA has a program called the Encouraging Environmental Excellence in Communities, and this award recognizes a community's exceptional achievements in environmental stewardship. There will be a whole lot of information in a press release that you'll see on our social media. I think it goes out on Wednesday. But the city was awarded a silver level award by the EPA through that program. So again, look for more information on that as far as the whys in the press release. That's going to be out on Wednesday.
Thank you. Any further updates or comments? Mayor George.
Thank you, Council President. Just a reminder and a call out to the public that we're going to be having a grand reopening of Winterhurst facility on Saturday, November 18th at 6:30 p.m. As you know, we've embarked on this journey with a new operator, and we're excited to show what improvements have been done to date and a lot of the improvements that will be forthcoming over the next couple of years. So 6:30 ribbon cutting, and then 7 o'clock Lakewood High School's hockey game, and there'll be some public skate then.
Thank you. It's exciting. Councilmember George, or Marks. Mayor George to Councilmember Marks, sorry.
I just want to know, with the opening of Winterhurst, I am planning on attending, and I want to know if the mayor and President Linton are going to be in skates again.
I think I'll speak for myself, that is a terrible idea, though I could employ other Littons to be present wearing skates that would potentially make up for it.
How about you, Mayor George?
I am not planning on skates, but I do have the honor of dropping the puck at the Lakewood High School game.
Oh,
So
well.
we're just hoping I don't fall on my way out there.
I'll be there to watch.
Well, to ensure that that all takes place. Very good. Any further updates or discussions? I'll also acknowledge the work and service of a dedicated block club leader in Cindy Strabeg, who is running for Ward 3's seat that will indeed be vacated very shortly. And your nervousness level is probably far less than mine was 8 years ago at around this time, I have to imagine. But either way, congratulations on all your hard work, and look forward to seeing you fill some very small shoes. Anything further? I see a wave from the back. Is there? There were keys on the floor. Oh, all right. Well, to all our, okay, Chief. All right, great. Glad we got that ironed out too. Anything else? Move to, what is the word?
Adjourn.
Yeah, that. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. We are adjourned.